What's up, friends? Welcome in to another edition of Rock Chalk Sports with Dan Courtwright. I am Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us on this Thursday. Going to get started today talking about kind of the news of the day. Broke earlier, some speculative news, I would
That's
say,
right.
regarding KU football 2026. Some musings regarding the schedule. So we'll get into that here in the opening segment. Give our thoughts on a potential overseas game that we're hearing for KU in 2026. Plus, Dan Courtwright's got a few injury updates, or at least we'll kind of reset the injury report heading into the Big 12 opener Saturday at 5 o'clock.
This is the first official availability report that we've
You're
had.
right.
So
You're
this is
right. That's big
exciting.
news. Absolutely. Yeah. West Virginia comes to town Saturday and should be a good one. Their turn to action at the booth. And a word on KU soccer as well, as they have their Big 12 opener tonight in Stillwater. Next segment, we're going to hear from the man himself, Jalon Daniels. He spoke to the media a little bit earlier this week, give his thoughts on the bye week, kind of where he thinks this offense is, this team is as a whole. So you'll hear from JD6. And then at 4:40, Brian Hanni, the voice of the Kansas
Ah,
Jayhawks, will come in studio to join us for a special interview.
also Brian Hanni, the host of Hanni and the Hawks,
Yeah.
which you can hear right here on kansasnation.com, a brand new show. We haven't put it out yet, but his first show is going to be coming up very soon with Daryl Stuckey. They filmed it at the 50-yard line at the newly reimagined David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium. Usually he's going to be here, but figured we'd kick things off at the new booth. So really excited for that partnership with Brian.
Yeah, we're gonna ask Brian about the first episode of Haney and the Hawks and see if he's recovered from the sweating that took place on a hot
It's
day
hot out there.
at the 50-yard line a few days ago for the Haney and the Hawks opener. And then at 5 o'clock, we're gonna have our KU Mailbag segment. KU Mailbag by the people for the people, if I'm not mistaken. Daniel, you can find us on Twitter at the Kansas Nation or on Instagram, anywhere on social media. Find us Kansas Nation and send us your questions, comments. Can be about sports, can be about really anything,
Anything, dating
anything.
advice, whatever you want.
Food,
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 yeah.
dating
Or
advice,
do
whatever.
we have any
Yeah.
food questions in
Ask
here?
us anything.
Yeah, we've got
We have a couple of great dumb questions. I don't want to say dumb. Fantastic questions. They're
we've
my favorite
we've
questions.
got some frequent flyers who like to ask really some head scratchers that we'll
Yes.
get into as well. Make sure that we're attacking that. And then following that, we are going to hear from Kobe Baynes and Trey Lathan, two other Jayhawks that were made available to the media earlier today. Kobe Baynes, a guy who has been a part of KU's offensive line for quite some time. Interesting situation this year to where there's a lot of movement for guys around him, particularly the right tackle position. So get Kobe's thoughts on that. And then Trey Lathan, of course, what more can you say about him? I mean,
Right.
13
Oh my gosh.
tackles, and we know it's a Trey Lathan
Revenge
revenge game coming up
That's
on
right.
Saturday. We love a good revenge game, and yeah, he's going to be taking on the Mountaineers, who he of course played for last year. 13 players or so is what Trey said. He knows on that Mountaineer roster from last year. So
Yeah, a
yeah,
lot
that'll
of
be fun.
turnover.
That'll be fun
A
for
little bit of
him.
turnover, but it'll be fun.
Having those guys come to town. Talking KU basketball in our final segment. Did you see the photo from earlier today?
Which
The
one?
final boot camp photo I saw on KU
Photo.
Athletic socials. Jalen Wilson commented saying, "This might be the best day of college right here. The end of boot camp." That's what it was, and basically, it's like the annual photo. Everybody's shirtless in the locker room, drenched in sweat, and KU fans love it because then they'll just dive into everybody. Oh man, this dude looks like he's gonna have a great
Man.
year. But
I
man, he is ripped.
I take one of those photos after I'm in an all you can eat buffet.
Yeah,
I take my shirt off, I'm all
right.
sweaty,
Yeah, same
just
thing.
flexing.
The
Yeah, no,
sweat's
it's pretty much the
there,
same
the
thing.
shirt
Yeah.
off is there, but yeah. So we'll close out with some KU basketball talk and some Thursday night football game picks. Dan is at one in a row, I think, for correct picks.
I
So trying to
believe
extend that streak.
yes.
That
Yeah,
sounds
yeah,
right.
yeah. I need to get my money back. So I have been on a relatively cold streak to start the year. I've started to gain a little traction back to about breaking even, at least on the year, not in my lifetime. That's going to take several more lifetimes to try to get
Yes,
back to
yes.
even on that. But
You can't win if
we'll
you don't
see.
play,
I mean, yeah, exactly. That's
as you
exactly right.
tell your girlfriend many times.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Just gotta keep going.
Yeah, right. Keep grinding. Hey, well, let's open talking is KU football news. Pete Thamel and a variety of sources, Dan, reporting earlier today that there's a chance KU football is going to be playing in London next year, September 19th, 2026 is the supposed date for a supposed matchup, KU and Arizona State, which would be the first FBS college football game in London. So that would be very, very exciting if that happens. Scott Hamilton is another one of the guys who reported this. And basically, per sources, according to Thamo, the deal still requires a waiver to move a previously scheduled game against Middle Tennessee to week 0 and some finalization of deal points. It would be the sport's third overseas game next year. What else can you tell us? What else are you seeing, Dan, regarding this potentially happening? And overall, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, I'm seeing a little bit of an overreaction from the fans, which is fair, right? Because we're all superstitious, and if history tells us anything, the last few teams who have lost overseas haven't had
Scuffling. Yeah.
yeah, they haven't had great seasons after that. You look at K-State, lost overseas. Look at Nebraska, they lost to Northwestern. So
What about your boy,
who?
DJ Uyunglele
Yeah,
at
no,
Florida
that's
State?
right.
Yeah.
Yes, that was another. So in light of in light of recent history, I understand the concern. I guess is one way you could say it. But also, this is a really cool experience to try to grow the brand of Kansas and the Big 12 as a whole, right? And also, according to Pete Thamel and according to On3, many different sources, KU officialdom, they kind of think, hey, this is perfect, right? Because the booth is already going to be at a reduced capacity because they're going to be working on the east side. So there's going to be a lot of construction. So they're saying, okay, well, if we're ever going to do it, it's probably got to be this year just to kind of take away a home game because they don't want, they don't want that reduced uh capacity, I guess. So it kind of makes sense. Phase 2 is still going to be being completed. I believe phase 2 is even going to be going into 2027, but that's going to be more so on the east side of where that parking lot is, right? They're going to be building up the hotels and the different restaurants and that kind of thing for sort of the gateway as opposed to the actual stadium. The stadium should be done after the 2026 season. So it kind of makes sense. I'm hearing a lot of people really upset about this because as of this point, now it's not and nothing official yet, right? They're still working on it. Like you said, there's waivers to be had, but there are talks and they're really trying to push this forward. KU's only going to have 3 home games that are conference games. So that also is a little bit of a concern, right? Because you're going to have essentially 6 home games for next year. You're going to have 3 in the non-con and 3 in the conference play if you're going to be moving the Middle Tennessee game up. So we'll see kind of how this all plays out. A lot of road games, and it's going to be kind of a rebuilding year for Kansas as well because you're going to be losing Jalon Daniels and Daniel Highshaw and so many key pieces on this Kansas squad. But I still like the fact that they are going to be getting that exposure. They are going to be going overseas. That's always going to be a good thing. Now, also in terms of the superstition, the teams who lose overseas usually are the ones who are quote unquote cursed. So if KU goes over there and wins, I don't see a big deal with this. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm gonna try to go. My girlfriend actually called me right before we started the
This
show.
isn't even official. You're already booking flights.
No, I know. Well, like I said, well, I'm not booking flights. My girlfriend is.
Yeah.
She called me. She goes, "Is KU playing in London? We have to go. We have to go. Oh, let's go. Let's go look at tickets right now." And I'm like, "Oh, let's wait and see if this actually happens. Nothing is quite official yet. Now, if they do play in London, it'd be cool, obviously, to go over. And we know KU. All Jayhawk Nation is going to certainly show out and go over there to London, and it obviously be a lot of fun. But yeah, I mean, I am a fan of this. I know, like I said, there are a lot of people who aren't crazy about it just because of their superstitions, and they don't like losing a home game. They don't like playing on the road for the majority, a big majority of conference play. I do understand that, but still, in terms of exposure, it's a great thing.
Yeah, and I think kind of going off what you were saying, if there were ever a year for Kansas to do this, this would be
Yeah.
the year,
Oh,
2026,
absolutely.
when you do have the reduced capacity. So we have to see if this actually goes through. But the Post and Courier reporting earlier this morning that KU and Arizona State set to play in London next fall, September 19th, and it would be a conference game. So keep that in mind. But the deal not quite done, and still hurdles to get over for the game to be confirmed. But yeah, this kind of came out of nowhere, at least from where we're sitting,
Yeah.
in terms of kind of having a set schedule, and now you have the Middle Tennessee game that would need to be moved to week 0. But yeah, that would be incredible if it's played at Wembley Stadium, Dan, because this houses 90,000. 90,000,
Man.
absolutely insane. So yeah, the September 19th date, when you look at Kansas football's schedule for next season, you'll see Middle Tennessee, because that's the date obviously scheduled right now. And the Sun Devils on their end, they have a game against Hawaii scheduled on that end. So it's not surprising that schedules are set for next season. It's just a little surprising, I think, this late that there would be a change. But college
I
football as a whole,
agree.
like you said, has been trying to expand overseas, and now an opportunity to play in London, at one of the most iconic stadiums in the world. I mean,
Right.
that's how this needs to be looked at, in my opinion, is really cool for the players and great exposure for the program.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, college football as a whole, like you said, they're trying to expand their reach. The NFL, they started doing this years ago. They were playing games in London. They play a ton of games in London already. That's one of your favorite appetizers, right? Is the London
Yes.
games.
Yes.
Whenever you wake up and it's
Right.
7 a.m., you're like, oh crap, the Jags and the Titans are playing
Oh
right now. That's
man,
weird.
fantastic.
No, but this is fantastic. So there's going to be 3 overseas games in FBS next year. TCU and North Carolina, they're going to be playing in Dublin, Ireland. That's going to be so much fun. Uh, is Bill Belichick going to be there, you think?
I think so.
You think he's good? You think he's going to stick around?
He's gonna bring Chapel Bill.
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. I mean, TCU, North Carolina, they open up season this year, and TCU laid it on them. So that's going to be in Dublin, Western Michigan, and Michigan. They're going to be playing in Frankfurt, Germany, and then in 2027, Pitt and Wisconsin are scheduled to play in Dublin as well. But nobody has ever played in London before in terms of FBS, so it's going to be really cool. Also, Kansas's first time ever playing out of the United States. Arizona State, they've played out of the States before in Tokyo back in 1990. They played against
How about
Houston.
that?
Yeah, they lost 62-45 at the Tokyo Dome in Japan.
That
So
sounds like a great game.
I know that isn't that odd? That's like a basketball score right
Yeah.
there. So that sounds awesome. But yes, Arizona State. This isn't their first rodeo. Obviously, it was in the 1990s, but Kansas never been out of the states, so this is really cool. And shout out to Brett Yormark and all of these people for really trying to expand this, right? Because there's been even talks about the Big 12 playing Olympic sports in Mexico, right? So there are different ways that Brett Yormark and company are trying to expand the reach of not just college athletics, but the Big 12 as a whole, which I think is great because in this world, you have to, and let's be honest, you have to essentially keep up with the Joneses, who are the SEC and the Big 10. And the way to do that is increase your exposure, right? You want to play in Mexico, you want to play in London, you want to play all over the place to try to build fandom kind of around the world if you want to be able to keep up with the Joneses. And I think Brett Yormark has done an excellent job in terms of keeping the Big 12 relevant. So I personally don't see any issues with this. Now, again, like I said, I've seen a lot of
People don't
I'll say
like giving up home
overreact.
games. That's what it is. That's
Yes,
that's
they
all.
don't
That's
like
all
having.
it is.
Yeah, they're
People
like,
don't want to
oh,
give up
we just
home
built this
games.
stadium. Why are we only? It's because the stadium is still being built. There's still a lot of work to be done, and like I said, they're not doing this after the stadium is completely done. If there is going to be a year to do this, it's next year when they are going to be at reduced capacity, when the east side of the stadium is not going to be completely done. They're going to be, I don't even know what the capacity is going to be at this point. I mean, obviously, it's impossible to tell in terms of where the construction is, but it's a good chance it could be, 30-ish thousand, right? So it's better to just be like, hey, let's kill 2 birds with one stone, feed 2 birds with one scone, if you will. Hey, let's go over to London because we have a reduced capacity here in Kansas, and also it's going to increase exposure. You're playing at one of the most famous stadiums in the world. Wembley Stadium holds 90,000 people. I think this is a home run. And again, nothing official yet. They're still in talks, but I think it's a really exciting opportunity presented.
Well, you don't want to beat a dead horse, and you certainly don't want.
Feed a fed horse.
Absolutely. There's no doubt about that. Arizona State game, like we said, will count as a home game for KU. Should this happen in London, obviously it's home game either way. But if this happens, like you said, Dan, KU will have 6 games at the booth in 2026, hosting BYU, Baylor, and UCF. They're going to go on the road in Big 12 play to take on K-State, Oklahoma State, TCU, Utah, and West Virginia. So that's a little bit of what's, I think, erring people on the side of being upset, at least at initial news, is you get 3 games at home and 5 games on the road in Big
Right.
12 play, right? Because, would it have worked better if the year where there was going to be reduced capacity also was the year that Kansas had 5 home games and not 4 home games?
Right.
Yes, because then you could say, okay, we've got 4 at home, 4 on the road, and then 1 overseas. That's technically a home game, but that's just not how the scheduling worked, and it is what it is. KU and Arizona State, when they meet, whenever it is, wherever it is, next year. It'll be the second meeting all time. We don't necessarily want to relive what happened in the desert. Unfortunately, that has been the case with a lot of games for 2024 Kansas football. But Sam Levitt, Jordan Tyson, and company got KU late in a heartbreaker in Tempe as the Hawks led by 3 with just over 2 minutes to play, and then Levitt and company had the game-winning touchdown drive. So yeah, who knows? I don't read in a lot to the teams who go overseas and lose then have bad seasons. I think we've just seen it a couple times. Yeah, Nebraska don't lose to Northwestern in general. Florida State,
Right.
I don't know what happened. They had problems beyond just losing across the pond last year, as proven by
Yeah.
by
Well,
their
they had a lot
final
of guys in
record.
the transfer portal too. Like that was tough. Obviously, they went undefeated, missed the CFP, and so everybody just kind of shipped off.
And then
Right.
what did they go 1-11?
I think,
Was that their final?
they might have won 2. Or it
Yeah,
might have been
it was
1. No, I
horrible.
think it was 2-10.
It was a horrible,
2-10
horrible
sounds
season.
right.
And then obviously
Haynes King is way better than we thought, though.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech.
Right, right.
Nobody knew they were going to be at least what they were, which wasn't college football playoff level, but they were still a pretty good team.
Yeah, well, and K-State right now has been a train wreck because
Absolutely.
they've been losing to
Yeah.
everybody. But yeah, I don't read in a lot to that, but very interesting. So keep up to date on that. Again, earlier today, it being announced that KU Arizona State potentially could do battle in London at Wembley Stadium, 90,000 capacity next season. If that happens, it would be September 19th, we're hearing. And again, it would mean moving of the September 19th games for KU, that's Middle Tennessee. For Arizona State, that's Hawaii. Probably back to week 0 for both programs. It would be a home game for KU that they would essentially be forfeiting, but a great opportunity if it does go through.
I have a little bit of a trivia for you. So, no FBS teams have ever played in London.
Yes.
Do you know the last college football game to be played in London?
Give me a year.
1988.
1988. Wow. That's oh man, yeah, that was a classic.
Because how old were you? You were, I mean, what?
That was a
you had to
classic
be
battle.
Mid-40s.
That was a
right?
classic battle between SMU and Virginia Tech.
No. 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 So no FBS schools. It's FCS.
Oh, FCS,
actually.
that's right.
So it was actually
Appalachian State. They were FCS at that time.
No, it wasn't Appalachian State. It was Boston University and the Richmond Spiders.
How about that? The Braves and the Spiders.
Look at that.
Battle.
2,500 fans at Crystal Palace National Sports
2,500. That is great. Yeah, we'll probably get a little bit better of a showing at Wembley Stadium
For
should
sure.
that matchup happen.
But
hey, we're gonna.
If this does happen though, like you've got to go, right? I mean, that's the biggest thing is showing these fans that hey, showing at least the people of London like hey. Kansas fans, like there are actually Kansas fans out there who want to travel and go see this Kansas squad. I understand it's going to be a rebuilding year, right? You still need to be able to show out. Now, again, you have to buy tickets, you have to buy plane tickets, you have to book your hotels, all that different kind of stuff. But K-State had a great showing in Dublin this year. So did Iowa State, right? A lot of this kind of depends on okay how many fans can actually go out to London. I think you have to have a good showing and be good representatives of the University of Kansas. So I think this is a great thing. I'm not going to listen to any of the people complaining about this because I think that this is an absolute home run in terms of what is happening next year with the construction and in terms of exposure. Like I said, you're feeding 2 birds with 1 scone. So I love the fact that this is at least in talks.
Well, you don't want to feed a fed horse.
No, of course not. You don't want to feed a fed horse. You want to feed 2 birds with 1 scone.
Right. If you do go, you're going to need somebody to watch your dog. Just keep that in mind.
That's
Piper
true.
Knows that you can't take Charlie with you.
I bet you I could buy Chuck
you could squeeze
a plane ticket.
You could squeeze him on the plane.
Like the live action Scooby-Doo movie. We'll just put a wig on him and a dress, and we'll just pretend he's my weird looking aunt or whatever.
Perfect. Yeah. And take it some football overseas.
Yeah.
Hey, after this, we're going to hear from KU quarterback Jalon Daniels. JD, met with the media a little bit earlier this week, and excited to get back out there against West Virginia, 5 o'clock on Saturday. Thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back. Rock Chalk Sports, KansasNation.com. Thanks for listening as well to ESPN Kansas City. Hey, next segment, we're going to be joined by the voice of the Kansas Jayhawks, Brian Hanni, here in studio. But first, let's hear from Jalon Daniels, KU's quarterback, who spoke to reporters earlier this week.
What was the week for you, and what did you kind of focus on?
Yeah, I mean, it was great. First of all, a great week to be able to rejuvenate the body, be able to get, some guys that are banged up, some soreness, be able to get everything back together, and being able to, come back together and, look at all the film, look at everything that we've done good, everything that we've done bad, and be able to try to work on it from there.
What was it like seeing the young guys get some extra action?
I mean, it was great. I mean, you got the chance to be able to see. I talked to a few of them, and they said they hadn't been tackled since high school. So being able to see a lot of guys, be able to get some live reps, see some guys tackle, see some guys make people miss, be able to go up, make some jump ball catches, it's always going to be a great time being able to see that.
Jalon, you guys have been really successful coming off of bye weeks the last few years. What do you attribute that to? Like, as a player, why do you think you guys have that level of success coming off of bye week?
Yeah, I mean, especially when you're coming off of a bye week and the team that you're going against hasn't come off a bye week. They're coming off of a game fresh from the weekend before. They're probably going to have a lot more soreness than the team who had a week to be able to, like I said, be able to rejuvenate the body and everything of that nature. But you also get an extra week to be able to focus on that exact team. With us, we focus on the next opponent. So, when we were done with Mizzou game, we were already looking forward to our West Virginia. As for them, they had a game already in the past week. So I think that's kind of what it is. You kind of go in being able to have an extra week to be able to prepare, but also be able to make sure that everybody on the team's bodies are feeling okay.
You got a couple more coming, but do you like the early bye week?
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, yeah, absolutely. Especially when you're going out there and you're taking recovery is everything, and as long as you get into that training room every day, you should be okay.
What stands out to you about West Virginia this time around?
I mean, first of all, they have a new staff, whole entire new staff, new offensive coordinator, new DC, new head coach. Whole new team, whole lot of new players. They have a lot of guys who are coming in and they're doing a lot. It shows their resilience on defense because they have the ability to be able to do a lot of things, and they've been able to do a lot of things within the 3 games that they played.
Jalon, you've had an excellent start of the season. When you look back at your play so far and compared to last year to start, do you see a big difference, or do you see anything different you're doing out there?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's just about, your confidence level, being able to, realize what's coming next. What is Coach Z calling this exact play for? Why are we going through this scenario? If he is calling this play and they bring something else, he expects me to do this, do that. I think there's a lot of not even just pre-snap communication, but pre-game communication when it comes to me and Coach Z. I feel like a lot of things that we do, we've been on the same page a lot.
You're playing a tempo team on their offense. You're obviously not out there trying to stop it, but do you view it that way in a sense? Like, let's stay on the field as long as we can. Let's keep them from running as many plays as they want to, all that stuff. I know that's probably part of every game, but does that magnify in a game against a team like that?
I think it's all about situation. As you know, we're not a team that is straight tempo off the bat, but we have the ability to be able to do so. So I think it's going to be more about being able to gauge where the game is at, be able to see where we're at situationally, and go with it from there.
Coach Leipold talked the other day about how Cam's not quite 100% and is working to get back there. What have you seen from him as he tries to work back into full action?
I mean, y'all have seen Cam get a reception every single game he's played this year. And, that just goes to show that he's working his ass off to be able to do everything that he can. He does get the opportunity to be able to get on the field. And I think that just puts contribute to him and, his preparation. No matter what's going on, he's going to do everything that he can to be able to get on the field and make a play.
Jalon, for you guys offensively, what's the next step you guys can take?
Just being able to stay consistent. One thing I'm proud about my team is, when things aren't going the way we want it to go, we don't shake. At the end of the day, we continue to keep going. We continue to look at the next play, and I think that just allows us to be able to keep on going no matter what's going on.
You've really been able to spread the ball around to a lot of different receivers. Just what do you like about the playmakers that you have on this offense?
Yeah, I mean, I have belief that, all of the guys on our team who are on the field, they have the ability to be able to go out there and make a play. And one thing that our offense stresses is being able to get the ball to playmakers and allow them to be able to make plays in space.
Bryson Campbell's been able to make his way back a little bit. Just what have you seen from him as he, starts to get more healthy and involved with the offense?
Yeah, I mean, he has the ability to be able to make a lot of things happen. I hope that we're able to go out there and be able to show more of his capabilities when we're in a game and be able to allow everybody to be able to see what he's able to do. But in practice, he makes a lot of good plays, and it's going to be all about being able to make sure it translates to the game day.
Thanks, Jalen.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shannon.
That's KU quarterback Jalon Daniels speaking to reporters a little bit earlier this week. JD's been really good. Dan, we talked about it a lot. 72% completion percentage, 9 touchdowns. He's got 2 interceptions, one against Wagner on a fantastic play by a Wagner defender, and then the other was just a situation where he was trying to throw the ball away, and Mizzou made a great play as well.
Another incredible play.
So a couple interceptions are certainly tagged on JD. We know that he had the fumble that resulted in the safety as well, but he is far from the person to blame for KU's loss, and certainly he is looked at as a big-time performer, a big leader, and the reason for KU's success that they've had so far this season. And I think, like he said, bye week's coming at a good time, and his best football is ahead of him.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right, Jalen, I mean, comparatively to last year, and I know we've talked about this a ton, he's not playing that hero ball as much. He's not trying to force things as much. He's calm, cool, and collected, right? We've heard a lot of people talk about how, hey, he's super locked in. I think we're seeing this not only on the field, but also in the press conferences. He's not as happy-go-lucky as he used to be, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? He's laser-focused, understands that, hey, this is my last go-around. I want to play the best football I could possibly play, not only to get to the next level, but just to win games as a Jayhawk and kind of have that lasting legacy as a Jayhawk as well. And you're obviously seeing that. You saw that in the video there. So, I mean, Jalon has been playing really, really good football as of right now. Obviously, coming off a loss against Mizzou, you had that whole bye week to kind of refocus yourself, and now he's focused on conference play. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we're going to talk KU football with Brian Hanni after this. Thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to KansasNation.com with Dan Courtwright. I'm Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us. And every Thursday, we're joined by Brian Hanni, the voice of the Jayhawks, to talk all things KU. BH, thanks for coming in studio again. First, before we talk KU football, let's talk about Hanni and the Hawks, right? You had your initial show earlier this week, and I know that's going to be available for fans to check out. But a special guest, an Orange Bowl champion, an NFL all-time Jayhawk in our book, Darryl Stuckey, joined you. Just kind of talk about that warm experience on the 50-yard line.
For about an hour and a half that we were out there taping this, but that's okay. That's why I just look a little more tan than I normally do with my normal pasty white approach.
Right.
But no, we had a great time out there. Big thanks to Kansas Athletics for letting us come out and showcase the new booth like that. And I thought Darryl was the perfect guy to open that new show with because he's such a great ambassador. So many terrific stories. My only regret was he had this amazing story. We ran out of time in our 45-minute window to talk about. So next time he comes on your show, ask him about Phillip Rivers, his teammate with the San Diego Chargers back then, leaving tangerines in his locker.
Oh, man.
As a twist of the knife.
Oh,
Rivers had beaten Kansas in the Tangerine Bowl. But Darryl's comeback to him was, yeah, I've had enough tangerines. Oranges taste even better.
Right.
And of course, he had the ultimate last laugh there. Not that had anything to do with NC State, but the fact that KU under Stuckey would rise to BCS bowl game heights. So we didn't get that story in, but we got a lot of good ones and talked a lot about his current role as director of football relations, talked about Lance Leipold's regime compared to Mark Mangino, what's similar about the culture, all of that. So good stuff. We'll be spotlighting a different Jayhawk several times each month. Chance to look back on our storied history in all sports, but it'll be very football heavy these first 3 months.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, excited for that. Look out for it. Hanni and the Hawks on the Kansas Nation socials, KansasNation.com. And we want to make sure that we have the best coverage for you. And certainly we're going to have a lot of shows. We're going to have a show featuring Greg Gurley and Mick Schaefer as well. Can you believe it?
I think they're filming it right now. I can hear them in the background.
I think so. And Nate Bukaty has a show as well with the Jayhawker podcast. And, of course, Brandon McAnderson, Chris Harris. And you're also going to hear from Pat Strothman in Wichita as well. So all sorts of coverage for KU. All right, bye week behind us now, Brian. We focus on West Virginia. We heard from, obviously, a lot of KU players, both coordinators this week, and Coach Leipold a little bit earlier in the week. Anything that they said strike you, or I guess what were your takeaways from hearing from those guys this week?
Well, specific to the game, I think it's the up-tempo approach of West Virginia. we talked so much about last week time of possession versus Mizzou was such a huge factor. This week it's more about number of plays because they're going to try to rip off as many plays as possible, get up to the line, get the ball snapped in 10 seconds or less. And so KU being assignment sound, being in position, being ready to handle that type of tempo is certainly going to be something to keep an eye on. But in general, I think they feel good about where they're at through non-conference play, trending in the direction they want to be, not quite as healthy as maybe they wish they would, but who really is 3 or 4 games in at this point? But I think in general, they like where they're at. They'd like to shore up some of the missed tackling that we saw clearly in Columbia, like to do better on the money downs, 3rd and 4th down, as those were major bugaboos over there in Columbia as well. But generally speaking, the offense, if they can establish the run better than what we saw at Mizzou, is at least through the passing game where we thought they would be. Jalon Daniels clearly has meshed well with all of his new receiving targets. I mean, think about all the guys they lost from a year ago, all the fresh faces coming in, and how well it's clicked in the passing game right out the gates. And you would expect that with veteran guys that are basically professionals at this point in their career. And they went out and spent a week out in California in July to work on that bonding and chemistry in the passing game. And I think it's shown up with the way that JD, Emmanuel Henderson, Cam Pickett, Deshaun Hanukkah all really have a great chemistry and rapport. And I told you this name a few weeks ago, but I really feel like Bryson Canty will continue to come on. He's one of those guys that benefited from the bye week when they had a lot of the 1s and 2s get off their feet a little bit and get some of the 3rd string and 4th string guys more repetitions in practice. That's a guy that's trying to get his legs back underneath him after missing some serious camp time. I look for a bigger role for him in the late October, or rather late September, early October stretch of this season as we get into league play.
And Brian, looking at the West Virginia offense, right? They have a number of different quarterbacks that they like to throw on out there. Markiel is probably their main guy. He's the one who kind of brought him back against Pitt. What are you seeing out of that offense? Like you said, high tempo, right there. Go, 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 go. Trying to get the defense kind of on their heels, right? But also, whenever you do that, the offense tends to kind of make some mistakes as well. How do you think the Kansas defense is kind of preparing for such a high tempo offense with also a lot of question marks in terms of who's going to be the leader of that offense too?
Yeah, I think that we learned a lot more certainly about West Virginia last week, like we thought we would. As we said, with the 10-point output in Athens, the loss 17-10 at Ohio. On this very show last week, we gave the old cliche: "You're never as bad as you look on your worst day, and you're never as good as you look on your best." And the truth is somewhere in between. But we saw not only a highly efficient game last week from Markiol, who I think had 76% completions. And while they don't throw for a ton of yards, 19 to 25, very efficient, but they got Ty Edwards going in the ground attack, and he was very impressive. 3 touchdowns, over 141 yards. I thought he was terrific. And they're getting more and more pieces added to this West Virginia team the last couple of weeks that I think make them a lot more formidable than maybe what we saw just 2 weeks into it. So a lot of respect for what they'll bring in. It's a team that under Rich Rodriguez, you take a look at his previous teams, both here and at Arizona, and now this current one. There's a lot of things that they'll do well and be very multiple and in both phases that we talked the most about on this show. But I think most notably with Edwards getting the ground attack going and 3 left-handed quarterbacks. You rarely see that.
Very strange.
Preparing for 3 southpaws, kind of motioning to the other side of the field. Talked about the importance with their fast tempo of being assignment sound and in position and ready to go, but also endurance and, being conditioned to be out there for that many rapid fire plays. Not maybe as long a drives as what you saw in Columbia, but coming at you quick with not as many chances to get subs in and out of the field and out the lineup there. That to me would be things to take a look at on Saturday night as well.
Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins the show here in studio, host of Hanni and the Hawks, which you can see right here on kansasnation.com, as well as all of our YouTubes and our socials as well. And Brian, I mean, obviously the game last week, West Virginia Pitt, backyard brawl, rivalry games, we all know they can get weird, right? Teams maybe show up and they look different than what they do. How much do you put into that, right? Because looking at that West Virginia versus Ohio game, they looked really bad, but also against Pitt, they looked really good. How much of it do you think is, hey, this is a rivalry game, let's go out there and let's do some things a little differently? Do you take any stake in that in terms of like, okay, that's going to roll over to Kansas, or do you think we're going to see a different West Virginia team than we saw last week against Pitt?
I think they're still evolving because some of the guys they've gotten cleared the last couple of weeks, I think it's it's an ever evolving program when you're in the third week of a new head coach coming in, so
Right.
many new pieces that they brought in through the portal. And so who they're going to be in October and November is very much not what we've seen the first few weeks, but certainly last week, a lot more indicative, particularly with Edwards. They can keep the ground attack rolling like that. I think they've had, 16 of their last 21 games, even with previous coaching staffs, of at least 140 yards on the ground. They'd love to be more consistent there, establish the run, and then see what Markiel can do when he's got more consistency like we saw in the passing game last week. But to me, I think it's more about Kansas defensively being more consistent in the tackling. And I understand you can't really practice live tackling once you get in season. It's too dangerous, right? You can wind up getting somebody hurt. So many of their improved tackling emphasis happens in the thud portion of practice where, you'll get to a guy in form tackle formation, put a body on him, but don't fully take him to the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can Kansas be in better position? Can they finish those plays better when you're not able to fully go through with finding a way to make that happen on a day-to-day basis in practice, simulating those types of live hits, because that's something that I think was troubling for this Kansas defensive coaching staff. And then, on the other side of the ball, I'm curious to see more out of the West Virginia defense because we've clearly got to establish more balance offensively. 6 carries, 11 yards for Hishaw down there in Columbia is not at all indicative of what I think this ground attack is going to be. And so you want to see JD certainly lighten it up, but you want to see balance as well. Run to set up the pass more than what we saw. And so I want to see a healthy Leashon out there doing his thing. I don't think that was necessarily the case 2 weeks ago, but expect to see more of that on Saturday night. But then, let's get our swagger back a little bit with run pass balance, being able to impose our will a little bit more, because when you lose the battle in the trenches on both sides of the ball, like happened in game 3, it's really tough to win no matter where you're playing, especially on the road in the SEC. I'd love to see the Kansas guys up front, offensively and defensively, set the tone more from the get-go, get that ground attack, playing complementary football better, and then let's get off the field on third down. Mizzou was a team that didn't have a proven kicker when we played them, so they went for a lot of fourth downs and hit on 80% of them. I want to see Kansas have more 3-and-outs defensively, get the ball back to your offensive unit, play from out in front, and put the pressure on a West Virginia team that should be considered an underdog here. I know historically they've had our number. They've won 11 of the 13 meetings we faced them, but Kansas should feel confident heading into this one. If we can seize momentum early, get off the field with our defense much more so than we saw 2 weeks ago, and then get that ground attack going to where we can sustain longer drives, make them be the tired out defense by the end of the day. And what that'll look like remains to be seen, but I think our offensive run blocking up front and that stable of backs, there's a lot of pride they want to win back from what was a tough day at the office 2 weeks ago, and I think they got a good chance to do that. But we'll see. I think Jalon Daniels wants to have a big say in this thing too.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's great point, and certainly some good keys heading into the game on Saturday at 5. Coverage will start at 3:30 on the Jayhawks Sports Network from Learfield. Brian, how about the mental aspect? You alluded to it a little bit, but it has been a rare day that Kansas is looked at as the hunted, right? I mean, this is a game where Kansas football is going in. They expect to win. A lot of prognosticators expect them to win, and it's just a different spot to be in for KU, right? Where it's like you go out and you hope you have a chance. Well, now Coach Leipold has built this program of, hey, we're looked at as one of the top dogs in this conference, and you're going to have to play a really good game to beat us. Is that something that you think the guys even read into at all? And just talk about JD from being the guy who's been here the longest at kind of the bottom 0-9 2020 season to where he's at now. Like, okay, now it's kind of a different type of challenge.
Yeah, his famous new era,
Yeah.
rant on the sidelines was in Morgantown
Right.
when we beat them in walk-off fashion on the Hawk Mamba. That was the night the nickname was coined, by the way.
Mhm.
Pick 6 walk-off at WVU. To think how far we've come since then, and obviously they've had a coaching change there, but to be considered a significant favorite in this one does show the leaps and bounds and strides that Coach Leipold's program has made. And there will be multiple other games, I would think. You can't predict injury, you can't predict momentum, but looking at the 9-game slate in front of us, there's going to be multiple games like this one where Kansas is considered a heavy favorite. How do you handle that? I don't think the team gets too caught up in that. And I think, if anything, last year in the Big 12 Conference, it proved that you shouldn't take anything for granted on any given night in this league, regardless of opponent, venue, momentum, any of that, because anybody can be had on any given Saturday. And I know that sounds cliche, but look at what Arizona State did last year based on what folks were predicting for them
True.
in July.
BYU
You know,
too, yeah.
Look at BYU. They opened 9-0.
Yeah.
Nobody was seeing that coming back in the summer months. And so it truly is, the type of level of competitiveness in our league where anybody can lose on any given day. And so you can't take anything for granted. But the fact that Kansas is considered in the upper echelon, the fact that we have to play with some expectations now, I like it. And I think we've got a mature enough group that can handle prosperity well, not take anything for granted. And hey, I know it's a different coaching staff and a lot of different personnel for West Virginia, but if Lance needs anything to point to for motivation, you had a 2-score lead with 5 minutes to go in their house a year ago. You let it slip away. I think that would get my attention if I was a returning Kansas player. And so I expect Kansas to be locked in, play from out in front, and play to that type of strength and advantage that you spoke to, listing them as a considerable favorite on Saturday. But as many plays as they're going to rattle off, if they have success moving the ball against us, which they expect to, West Virginia, if we don't draw a line in the sand early, this could be a back-and-forth shootout type game. Left Coach Leipold's office an hour ago to come down and see you guys, and he said, it might be one of those games where we got to outscore them.
Yeah.
And you hope that's not the case. Obviously, you have to outscore them to win every game. Let's be clear. But what he's saying there is this might be one of those games where you got a lot of fireworks going back and forth. And DK McDonald doesn't like that plan.
No.
And he's got other designs on that, certainly. And so does Coach Leipold, to be clear. Point is, we have to be ready for a dogfight because their offense got healthy last week. They got some additions that were significant right out the gate. And I think they come in with a lot more swagger and a lot more potent offensive attack. And so we got to be ready to post a big number. And I think both Coach Leipold and Coach McDonald and Jim Zabrowski, too, talked about the last game in Columbia, giving up 41. You're not going to win many nights. But that doesn't make Jim Zabrowski feel like, or I guess it was 42, that's a number we can't reach on our own offensive output in a given week. So I think Kansas shows up Saturday night prepared to come at them fast and furious and to score in the mid-30s or higher. But it's my hope that for our defense, which should be significantly healthier than when we saw last, Bengali Kamara much closer to 100% than what we saw last. It will be my hope that, we can throw some things at West Virginia that throw them back into that week 2 funk we saw when they were struggling to score 10 on the road in Athens. I don't predict that, but I think we can do a lot to play to our advantages in this one, both offensively and defensively, to where hopefully this isn't a who has the ball last type game like we saw.
It'd be nice, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely. Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks, joins us here in studio. And Brian, I was actually going to ask you about Lance Leipold. I know you just got back from his office, but also you had Hawk Talk yesterday over at Johnny's West. You hear that on 810 Sports Radio WHB, by the way. Anything that Coach Leipold said yesterday on Hawk Talk that kind of stuck out to you in terms of his preparation for this game?
I think he's, most focused on the things that were obvious deficiencies the last time we saw Kansas, which was the 3rd and 4th downs that I talked about, the running game, losing the battle up front on both sides of the ball. Not as concerned with time of possession as much. Talks more about point per possession as the statistical trend in college football that carries more weight. Time of possession was a factor in Columbia. Clearly, did we wear down by that last drive when they give up the big home run, touchdown run to Roberts? Yeah, that was probably a product of being out there 40 minutes out of 60 or close to it. But he talked more about the importance of maximizing opportunities, points per possession, that kind of thing, and doing things to get the defense off the field on those key money downs. He talked about the importance of, getting West Virginia into 2nd and longs and 3rd and longs, 3rd and mediums, to where it's not as easy to go for it in the 4th and short scenarios, playing ahead of schedule offensively when we have the ball. So I think those are some of the things he's thinking about right now. I think, he thought we were relatively healthy. As I said earlier, when we started the conversation, nobody's fully healthy at this point, even coming off a bye, but they like where they're at there. And in general, they feel pretty good 3 games in, but there's still a lot of ground to be gained in all 3 phases. I think right now, if there was one phase that he was most excited to talk about the progress within, it was probably special teams, honestly. And you would say offense if the run game had done more last time out. You might say defense had we tackled better and gotten off the field more. But if you think about it, Tate Nagy's been pretty impressive in the return game.
Yeah.
Lathan has been awesome in the kicking game. There's a lot to like with Finn Lappin in the punt game. And so in thinking back to the last two conversations we've had last night and this morning, I think that's one area he feels really good about. But he's also one of those guys, even though we're at the quarter pole, 3 games into 12 on the season, he's not ready to make any sweeping judgments in each phase of the game and say, we're right where we thought we'd be, or this is right where it needs to improve. It's a decent enough sample size where you can draw some conclusions, but there's so much more to go in this season and so much more to go in an evolution of this football team in all 3 phases that had major turnover at key spots. And so that's where I think he's probably in a better position to make some conclusions and some decisive statements. Once we end up this homestand and get set to head to Orlando, you'd have a larger sample size to pull from at that point.
Isn't it interesting too with special teams? It's one of those things, and each sport has some sort of phase like this, I would say, but special teams is one of those things you don't talk about it really unless something goes wrong.
Yep.
I mean, you
Right.
go out and you hit a 66-yard field goal to win a game, and yeah, you're going to talk about it, but otherwise it's like, okay, this has quietly been 3 really good weeks for
Right.
Kansas special teams, but it's worth bringing that to the light because that's obviously a very important element as we've seen, particularly in a certain rivalry matchup the past few, however many years. But Brian, let's transition to basketball really quick. I know that you had a meeting with Coach Leipold, but that was after you finished boot camp, so you were able to go back and get showered. And are you feeling stronger after your 2 weeks of being out there on the court? And
Feeling
how's
good, by the way.
how's
Yeah,
everybody looking?
Only puked twice. A lot of guys grab that garbage can.
We were talking earlier about the photo, right? You see the photo on social media at the end of every boot camp. Jalen Wilson even commented. He said, "This is maybe the best day of college when boot camp is over." But the guys are shirtless and they're flexing, and everybody's like, "Oh man, this guy's been killing it. This guy looks really good." But Coach Self has said how much he likes this roster, and we've got a lot of dudes out there. So just kind of your excitement and moving forward, that's going to be here soon.
First off, we're going to do the shirtless flexing photo with
Yes.
Greg once Gurley gets done with his tour. He's going to come over here, and the 6 of us are going to all huddle up.
Right.
So look forward to that. That's for our premium subscriptions on KansasNation.com.
Get to see some behind the scenes talent with Easton John and Elijah Schmidt as well.
Yeah. No, really excited about that group. And actually, I was not at boot camp this morning. That was obviously a joke. I was in the fog for an hour and a half this morning with Warren Corman's family.
Oh.
Okay.
The late, great Warren Corman, the last of the original architect team. He passed away 3 weeks ago, as you know by now. His celebration of life was yesterday. And he had family coming in from all over, including as far away as Alaska, that had never before seen their great-grandpa or grandpa's greatest creation.
Wow. Oh
So my
gosh.
morning was spent taking them around, showing them the original blueprint, which you can see for folks that don't know this on the 2nd floor entryway into Allen Fieldhouse. They have a carbon copy of the title page of what was a 26-page document. When I say pages, I'm talking about each page is the size of one of those 80-inch flat screens you guys are looking at.
Yeah, right.
And it's the original design of Warren and 5 other guys, and it's pretty cool. If the holy grail of basketball is 200 yards to the right with Dr. Naismith's original rules hanging into Bruce, the holy grail of American sports venues is right there in the entryway. So it's not at all what you asked about, or not Stalin and not talk.
No,
News,
that's
but that was
fantastic
a
story.
special thing to get to share that with the family today. And we talked about his legacy on a previous episode. One of the all-time great Jayhawk ambassadors, the great Warren Corman. As for the team, can't wait. I mean, what are we, T-minus a month away from late night in the fog now? Less than by a day.
For sure.
He's going to be Sean's going to be one of the dueling DJs, I hear.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
yeah.
going to be cool.
I got to get DJ
Man.
Diesel to tap me out.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
if you believe that, you probably believe in that shirtless photo with Greg Gray that's about to happen.
Wear bro tank and
But,
your shades. Yeah, it's gonna be cool.
I think folks will see immediate improvement out of Flory Bidunga. It's evident. It's obvious. You see a guy that really had an outstanding offseason. I think you'll see Cole Rosario and be like, really? He reclassified? He should still be a high school senior? He looks like a second-year college guy who's been in the program for 24 months already. I think you'll be impressed with a lot of the new faces, some of the impact transfers, certainly. Melvin Council, he's embracing the Tyshawn Taylor comparisons at this point. Tyshawn, by the way, was in the Kansas Station studios last night for our big open house event. And it's funny, if you saw the two of them walking down Mass Street together, you would think this is his little brother. But his game is similar too. And I think he's been good in pushing Darren. But Darren obviously is the guy everybody's going to be setting their sights on, both on the floor and in some of the creative stuff they have planned for Late Night in the Fog, showcasing his personality. That's all I'm going to say. But I look forward to all of the above. I think Bryson Tiller is a name that's being slept on because all the focus is on Flory and the other new guys. And hey, he's still a new guy. I know he's been here since January, but he wasn't playing at that point. He was rehabbing an injury, and they just wanted him to be a part of the program, learn the culture, all that. Bryson Tiller, even if it's not in a prominent role this year, folks forget this was a top 20 guy when he signed.
Yeah.
Right.
You know,
He's
he
a
didn't go
big
through
time name. Yeah.
didn't go through the hoopla of the McDonald's All-American game because he decided to come in a semester early, but he checks all the boxes from a character standpoint. Now that he's healthy and he's getting his burst back, I'm excited about him too. So there's a lot of guys we could gush about, no doubt. Sure.
Brian Hanni, voice of the Jayhawks. And one more thing before we get you out of here. I wanted to talk about sort of that front court for KU, right? Because you have a lot of depth. You have Flory, you have Paul and Bia, Bryson Tiller, Trey White. Just in terms of just what you've seen throughout the offseason and what you've seen kind of throughout boot camp, how do you think the minutes distribution is going to kind of shake out, right? Do you think Flory's going to be playing a little bit of the 4? Do you think he's going to play more of the 5? Or because I said it on an earlier show, it's going to be so hard to keep a guy like Paul and Bia off that court just with the reach alone and the athleticism, right? So just in terms of the guys down low, just in terms of minutes distribution, how do you think that's going to shake out heading into the season?
I mean, Samis is a name we haven't mentioned
Samis
yet.
Coleron, yeah, exactly.
I mean, his athleticism, guys, that's another thing that will jump off the page to anybody that shows up and is lucky enough to be in the house for Late Night in the Fog. I mean, he is another name that not enough people are talking about. And I'm not saying that he starts out the gate, but man, he's going to be, when I think back to some of the summer practices I watched in July, there were days where his athleticism at times took over stretches of the game on both ends of the floor. And so too early to be talking about minute distribution and all that stuff. Maybe Greg can break that down for you of what he thinks. But I will say this, the depth and breadth of this roster, the length and athleticism of this roster, it is all so much deeper and greater than it's been the last couple of years. What they lack is experience and experience together. Everything else is a market improvement in terms of athleticism, length, and the depth of that talent. I wish we had one more big-time shooter, and maybe he'll emerge because you got numerous candidates who could be that. But there isn't a true Grady Dick type walking through that door this year. So how are some of these other candidates going to step into that particular role? You asked about the bigs, though. I'm glad we got Bill Self to figure out that situation because it is, I won't say an embarrassment of riches, but it is a very noticeably rich spot.
Yeah.
And not just are they long, but man, we got some jumpers back there now. And by that, I mean guys playing on a pogo stick with rim protection that we just haven't had the last few seasons. As good as we've had since 2020. That's the best way to describe it. Because think about it, McCormick wasn't really a prolific rim protector in 2022. Won a title with the guy, and he should have been the MOP of the whole thing. But the point is, we got some high flyers and some shot blockers and some length that it will be tough to go over or around. And that's something that we haven't had every season of late.
Yeah, well, if Kansas is actually checking in at 20 or somewhere around there in the top 25 in the preseason, I think we'll all just chuckle a little bit. Who knows what's going to happen, and that's fine, and that's totally fine. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing ESPN, CBS, whoever, the national pundits, well-respected sites, well-respected individuals, placing KU significantly lower than I think we expect, and that's fine after the last couple of years. But I think we'll chuckle a little bit because I think we understand what the ceiling really is for this team.
Is some of that polar fatigue, as
right.
in that they're tired of picking Kansas at the top each year, and maybe that they've been let down a little bit the last couple of years with the preseason #1 rankings, so they're not going to be burned again by putting them too high. But I can't recall a team this talented, this athletic, pick that low with a Hall of Fame coach.
Right.
I get it if it's like a first-year head coach who's got a group that people don't know much about, but they just kind of look the part. We know the track record of the Hall of Famer.
Oh my goodness.
And we know the track record of some of these guys coming in. I can't wait to see the way this thing evolves. And you're right. I think we will be laughing or chuckling or thinking, wow,
for sure.
Really?
And you know what? Hey, it'll be good for us. Yeah. We get a chance to earn our stripes a little bit. Brian, tell us about Miller Retirement Group before you get out of here.
Yeah, man. Big thanks to Miller Retirement Group for sponsoring these weekly drop-ins. Nate Miller, located right behind us here in downtown Lawrence. He was over here last night hanging out during the grand opening, and just love what he does for this community philanthropically first and foremost. But you'll love what he can do for you and your financial portfolio, whether you have one or you're starting one up. He also offers his services to people that are maybe selling a business and then looking to reinvest that money. Check him out today, MillerRetirementGroup.com. That's MillerRetirementGroup.com. Always good to see you guys. Love the new digs. Love the way it's come together. Every week I come down here, something new's
The
been
new
added.
element, right?
You know that now you got the flat screens turned on. There's like 5 of them that are all like 80 inches. You got Pat McAfee over here who wishes his desk was as cool as yours.
Exactly.
You got FS1 on this channel. It's pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. No, we're pretty excited by it.
You know, we got Courtwright over here watching some island dating show. I don't know what you guys. What's
Well, I
this
had
one?
to
Love
catch up. I had to catch
Okay.
up.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
there's only so many hours in the day.
Right,
He's got to.
yeah.
If his eyes have been drifting to the left, that's why.
Yeah,
If
I
they
got
drifted
Gilmore Girls
down,
on
that's
that
also why.
one. Yeah, I got
exactly.
Yeah.
Nate Miller, by the way, he had a chance to talk to Tyshawn Taylor last night, so that was a lot of fun. But Brian, thanks for joining us. We'll see you on Saturday, right? KU and West Virginia, 5 o'clock, 3:30. You can hear the Crimson and Blue show with BMAC and DL before Brian takes the air right around 4:30. 5 o'clock kick, Big 12 opener, KU and the Mountaineers. KU Mailbag after this. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Huge shout out to Easton John and Elijah Schmidt running the operations today. Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com.
Easton John's doing a lot over there, by the way.
He is, yes.
He's running the show practically by himself.
Been in the trenches. Thanks for listening as well on ESPN Kansas City. Tomorrow, Dan, we have a special show location.
That's right. We're going to be at a Hy-Vee. $7 grab-and-go pizzas, $8.99 enchiladas, chicken enchiladas, fantastic stuff. Shout out to
Served
Keegan and
with
John.
Spanish rice.
We're served with Spanish rice. You're absolutely right. We're going to be at a Hy-Vee. Be sure to come on out there live from 4 to 6 o'clock. Always appreciate those guys at a Hy-Vee for letting us go out there and ramble about some stupid stuff while people are grabbing their groceries. A lot of fun. We'll have some fun giveaways as well. So swing by, say hi. Going to have some special guests too. So really looking forward to that show.
Yeah, absolutely. Hy-Vee. And we love being out there. We'll talk Chiefs football. We have our sports stock market. And of course, a deep dive on the Mountaineers. Right now, though, KU Mailbag segment.
By the people, for the people.
We didn't get a chance to do it yesterday. Of course, truncated show with everything that was going on here at the Kansas Nation studios. We did have Henry Greenstein come on, so I appreciate Henry as Dan sort of took the day off from being on air. So now we get back to it, and we're going to push a draft to next week. We got to make sure we get your questions, comments in the KU Mailbag segment. Dan, who's starting us off today?
Starting us off is Garrett. Garrett wants to know if you could remove any school or schools from the Big 12 and add a school in their place, who would it be and why?
Have we had this before?
I can't remember if we've had this before.
Yeah.
We've definitely talked about it before. I don't know. First thing that comes to your mind. Cincinnati.
See, for me, it's either UCF or West Virginia.
See,
but I think there's
Orlando's
allure,
fun. What
there's
is there in
allure,
Cincinnati? There's nothing in Cincinnati.
There's a lure of UCF because of the market of Orlando, and it's actually the biggest school in the Big 12 in terms of enrollment. UCF, it's just strange, man. Like, it's just strange having UCF when they're deep in the heart of Florida.
Well, I hate that, and I've talked about this before. It's like, oh, well, you know, with conference realignment, like you're gonna have like the BYU soccer team traveling down to you know, Orlando on a Tuesday night.
That's just the way of the world now.
I know. It's just
it's strange that UCF being in the Big 12 used to be the weirdest thing ever, and now it's not even a thing in terms of geography because no one cares. You've got Stanford and Cal playing on the Atlantic coast.
You know what? Actually, I have the correct answer to this. I have the correct
SMU classic ACC team.
If I could get rid of any schools from the Big 12, it'd be Utah, BYU, Arizona State, Arizona, Cincinnati, UCF, and then I get rid of all of them.
And
Houston.
Well,
Houston
well,
too.
get rid of West Virginia too,
and West Virginia,
and K-State, and Iowa State.
No. I know. So I keep K-State and Iowa State, and then I would bring on Nebraska. You know, Colorado's already in. Let's see who else. Oklahoma, Texas A&M. Just make it
this
the old.
This is a hot take.
I just make it. No, it's not a hot take at all. It's just make it the old Big 12 again.
Make it the old Big 12 again. Make it the old Big 8. Right? Why stop
but
there?
I kind of like the Texas schools though.
Yeah.
I like the Texas schools being in there.
Getting back
Would you
to
get
the
rid
question,
of TCU though?
TCU is weird to me because they still don't really feel like a
Big 12 school.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, they've been here for a dozen years, but
that's true.
I don't know. I think if I had to get rid of one, see, with West Virginia and Cincinnati, they're kind of the same. Like, they're
I
kind of the same. Like Louisville and Memphis. It's that
But
kind of
it's that's the Bob Huggins Bowl every year though, right?
right. Yeah,
So
Bob Huggins revenge game for sure. I'm dumping UCF. I mean, I'm sticking with my initial. I'm dumping UCF.
Get rid of Cincinnati. Nobody cares about them.
Yeah, I mean,
Travis Kelce cares about them. That's it.
yeah, I don't know.
If Travis Kelce didn't go to Cincinnati probably, and this actually there probably has a ring of plausibility to it. If Travis Kelce didn't go to Cincinnati or Jason Kelce didn't go to Cincinnati,
I was gonna say,
would they even be, thought of as, hey, let's bring them into the Big 12?
Yes, it's not because the Kelsey brothers went there. That's not why they're in the Big 12. No. I don't know. I get rid of UCF, but that's just because my mind can't handle the geography issues. They just don't feel like why are they not in the ACC?
That's also a good question. Also, they're
that's a classic fit for the ACC.
Their city, there's the food, the Skyline Chili. Like I don't
you're
want
still
that.
on Cincinnati.
I don't
you're still
want,
on
no,
Cincinnati. That's fair.
I just don't want them in.
That's
I just
fair.
don't want that.
I
that
completely
negativity.
agree. Skyline chili sucks.
Okay, I've never had it, but I've heard it's terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I don't know.
Never again. Talk about a waste of a meal.
Yeah.
Easton, is it any good? It's terrible. Good. That's what we thought.
But here's my motto is I'll try anything twice. I haven't even tried it twice. I've tried it once. So I want to try it twice and then see. And then if I really hate it, then I'll kick Cincinnati out.
Yeah.
I already want them out.
Fine. I just,
I want them out.
nothing personal against UCF. I just don't.
It's fine.
I don't know. There's just go to the. Why aren't they in the ACC? That's a classic fit.
100%.
A middling athletic department. Go to the ACC. I mean,
that was mean.
I don't know. No, it's not. No, it's not. Shout out to Scott Frost and Keyshawn Hall, former UCF legend. But anyway, all right. Who's next on our KU mailbag questions for this week?
Hunter, he says this is a great question. He asks, would you rather be able to speak and understand every animal or speak every language? That's a great question. You go first. I think because there's both of them are enticing, right?
Yeah. I think I like the unknown of not knowing what animals are thinking.
Yeah, true. Well, also
just kind of guessing and going off of what you see.
Do you know what you
physical
with
actions.
with animals? Like it'd be like, oh, I wonder what that squirrel's thinking, and they're just like nuts. It's like what else?
It would probably be
they're not like pondering
squirrels.
Physics.
As far as I know, squirrels only think about nuts.
Right.
I mean that's my understanding. It's got to be speak all languages, dude. How great would that be?
Absolutely.
Like go to every country, no matter where you are in the world, and you can understand. You know how to order a pizza everywhere.
Yeah.
You know how to order buffalo wings. You know how to order breadsticks.
He doesn't want to like solve any world issues. He's like, man, I just want to go places and order pizza.
I'm just saying.
That's his number one. No,
there would be no disconnect.
I'm with you. There's obviously more things to do.
My wife is fluent in Spanish.
That's right. She's a Spanish teacher.
Shout out.
Man, do you know a lick of Spanish?
Yes. I do.
How you don't know much.
Took it in high school, and that's about it.
Okay, sure.
But I know way more than my in-laws, my wife's family. I've told you this before, I think. We went to Costa Rica.
Yeah.
And I, blew them out of the water. I was so proud of myself. Because I could at least kind of have a conversation with people who Spanish is their number one language. And my wife's family, despite the fact that she's been a Spanish teacher for 10 years, they couldn't do anything. So I mean, we would not have survived.
That's tough.
Yeah.
My mother she's 50% Mexican and her father's 100% Mexican.
You said you're 2/15.
I'm a quarter Mexican. Yeah. My dad, who's the whitest man on the planet, knows more Spanish than my own Hispanic mother. My mom doesn't know a damn word of Spanish. What? My dad knows a lot of it. Oh, it's crazy.
Shout out
I know
CC.
It's insane. I know. It's he's full of those little tricks.
Real? Wow.
That's absolutely real. He knows way more Spanish than my mom. My mom doesn't know anything, and she's actually Hispanic. My father, who you've seen him.
Yes.
And I this isn't even hyperbole.
He has
the whitest man in the world.
He has a lot of positive qualities.
Yeah.
Yes.
Including Spanish.
There you go.
Yes, including Spanish.
Yeah.
So shout out to Chris.
For sure.
Every language. No, I don't want to know what.
Shout out to Chris and Teresa, really.
Yeah, Chris and Teresa. All the Chris and Teresas out there.
Right.
No, I mean, yeah. I wonder what my dog's thinking. They're like ball, food, scratch. Like
that's disrespectful.
Charlie's an
You-
idiot.
you-
No,
you
Charlie,
don't know.
my dog is the dumbest dog.
Well, okay,
He's so
just
I don't wanna know what he's thinking.
not all dogs.
You know what he's thinking? It's a monkey playing cymbals going on in his head. There's nothing going on in there. His brain is full of rocks. He doesn't know what planet he's on. So yeah, I want to listen to every. I want to know every language. Not animal. I could do without the animals. I'm with you. I don't want to know the
no,
unknown
it'd be cool.
of
It'd be
the
cool. And I'm
animals.
not even somebody who is particularly well traveled or necessarily will be at any
Right.
time. But
Yeah.
it'd still be cool to be able
That's
to
true.
interact with everybody. Back to brass tacks here. Brian says since 2000, 117 National Football League teams have started the year 0-3, and only one of those teams has made the playoffs. How does this affect your view on the Chiefs season with a 30-year-old quarterback if they lose to the Giants?
It doesn't affect it at all. Well, okay. So
Shout
I
out
guess
to Patrick Mahomes.
if they lose to the Giants, it's a little tougher, right? Because they're the Giants.
Yeah, it's
and
tougher.
Okay, so
Teams are 116 to 117 teams haven't made the playoffs if they start 0-3.
I'm saying that stat doesn't scare me as much as just straight up losing to the Giants, because I don't think the Giants are very good. Now, obviously, Russ had over, 450 some odd yards. Malik Neighbors went insane. They've got a pretty good defense, but it's still the New York Giants. I think if the Kansas City Chiefs lose to the New York Giants, that's more concerning to me. But I don't think it's going to happen, A. And B, none of those other teams had Patrick Mahomes. If history tells you anything, you look back into the annals of history in terms of Patrick Mahomes' career. Whenever you count him out, what happens?
He wins.
He proves you wrong. He wins, right? So it doesn't matter if they start 0-3. They're going to be the exception to this statistic. The 116 out of 117 teams didn't wind up making the playoffs. Do you really think you look? I want anybody to look me in the face and say, "Hey, if the Chiefs start 0-3, they're missing the playoffs." Absolutely not. That's insane. That is absolutely insane to think that the Chiefs are going to miss the playoffs. I think the Chiefs throughout Patrick Mahomes' entire career, they never miss the playoffs. I feel very confident about that. They will never miss the playoffs as long as Patrick Mahomes is at the helm.
I am officially, if we lose to the New York Football Giants, hitting the panic button. I am. You're 0-3, and I understand, and it's a lot of it is schedule related to me. You have the Ravens and the Lions. You have the Ravens and the Lions 2 out of your next 3 games after the Giants game. So if you're 0-3 coming home to host the Ravens, does that mean you're not going to beat the Ravens? No. The Chiefs obviously could beat the Ravens, and you could beat the Lions. But if you're 0-3, there's only so many losses that you can take. And who knows if the Chargers are going to be a team who's 9-8 or 11-6 or 13-4, right?
Right.
But still, there's reason to panic, I think, to an extent. Who knows when you get Rice back, and when you have both Rice and Worthy, then you're going to be much better offensively, and you feel confident. Chiefs defense is good enough to be able to win them a lot of games. But if you're 0-3 with the Ravens coming to town, I'm hitting the panic button. You got to beat the Giants.
I know. Well, the Ravens, it's going to be tough. They're going to be beatable. I think the Lions look very beatable right now. And then you get the Jags after that. You get Rashee Rice back. Get Xavier Worthy healthy, number one. You have to get Xavier Worthy healthy. And then I think at that point you go, okay, I feel relatively confident about this. And I know he was going through some walkthrough today. He's probably day-to-day as of right now. We could see him against the Giants. It's just every single time in my life that I've said, oh, Patrick, we're done. Chiefs are done. Guess what? They go and win a freaking Super Bowl. So it's hard for me to say that right now. It's hard for me to say that right now because every single time that I've been out on the Chiefs, they have proven me wrong.
Got another mailbag question here from Easton. Easton wants to know, how are you supposed to heat up buffalo wings if you don't have a microwave or oven? That is really tricky because you don't necessarily want to eat wings. It looks like leftover wings. He says, leftover wings. How are you supposed to eat leftover wings that have been in the fridge overnight and you don't have a microwave or an oven? Your thoughts?
This seems like a very specific is this something that Easton goes through?
I don't know. It seems it must.
If I was Easton, you grab 2 sticks, some flammable newspaper or flint, if you will.
Whoa, but it rained outside.
See, and that's the thing. You just gotta look really hard. Or you could go next door to Jimmy John's and see if they could throw it in their toaster.
Jimmy John's,
that's actually not a terrible idea.
We are frequent flyers at Jimmy John's,
We are.
but I don't think that they necessarily love us for that.
True.
But
True.
We'll see. Anyway, Cole has a question for us. You get $100 a day for every day you eat the meat of a unique animal. How many days are you going?
$100 a day. That's not a lot because how unique are we talking?
Well, no. I think you start with none. So I think you eat chicken today. Leftover wings,
Oh,
perhaps.
sorry. So it has to be.
You eat
It has
chicken
to be
today.
a different meat. Oh, that's
Yeah. Well, meat from a different animal.
sure.
So I think so. What do you got? You've got. I mean, what do we eat? We
So you
eat
can start with-
chickens.
yeah, you start with
we
chicken,
eat pigs. We eat
cows, and then
We-
after
Where are we at now?
lamb,
Fish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's five. That's $500 right there. And then after that, it gets tough. You got to start looking at black markets. You know,
Yeah.
you got to start,
Yeah.
finding sketchy websites online.
Alligators.
Yeah,
I mean,
alligator. You can find
you
alligator.
eat fried gator. For sure.
Okay, so like think about all
Well,
the
if-
different,
well,
so
yeah,
all
and
the
if you
different
think about
kinds
it-
of shrimp, though, right? Or
Well,
like
that's
fish,
the thing is, how
like
about
tilapia,
seafood in general?
salmon,
Seafood in general
shark
would be good, right? Because you got like calamari,
Yeah.
mussels,
True.
crab,
Seafood
lobster.
in general. I mean, you can get that.
Yeah, so we're
But then all of a
we're
sudden
getting
you're
a little
like-
bit of
you're like
momentum
calling
here.
up
So
guys
we're up,
like, hey, do you know any kangaroos? I can,
Right.
or I don't know.
I think
like-
we could get to $2,000. I think we could easily.
You think so?
I think easily. Like when you look at the
You
great,
get to a grand
the
at least,
vast
right?
ocean.
Yeah,
When you
it's
get the ocean,
true.
crab, lobster,
Shrimp. You have jumbo shrimp.
well,
You have
scallops,
fried shrimp.
What are scallops? by the
grilled
way? I mean, I've
shrimp,
eaten them, but I don't know what they are.
Shrimp scampi. Mini
scallops
shrimp.
are
What is spam? What is spam made out of?
I don't know. It's not meat.
Is it just some meat obelisk of
Yeah, that sounds
amalgamation of many different kinds of
Yeah.
meats?
Yeah.
Okay.
Amalgamation probably is how I would put it.
Right. Meat product.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like the
Oh,
government
meat
cheese.
product and cheese product.
Yeah.
For your individual
If I go $2,000,
slices.
go $2,000.
We could get to $2,000. I think.
Yeah, it's an easy $2,000.
Although you would eat anything twice.
Yeah, I'll
so-
try anything twice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, you could get like, I mean, you would eat goat.
Yeah.
Right? You eat goat.
Probably.
I mean, what else is there? There's some weird ones. Any
Ostrich?
sort of marsupial, I know you would be down to eat.
Yeah. Oh, duck. We didn't even think about
Yeah.
aviation.
See, that's the thing. We could get up to 2, maybe
aviary
even $3,000
creatures,
if we
right?
need to. Yeah.
Um,
Appreciate that
dove,
question from Cole. Dove.
Geese. Cody, he says, why is mailbag on a Thursday? Great question, Cody. Mailbag's on Thursday because yesterday we actually had our open house. Had a lot of people come by. It was really fun.
Truncated show. Appreciate that, Cody. I know that you were concerned about the
Yes.
mailbag segment. Not
Truncated
being
show.
there,
I
but
did get yesterday's show on YouTube, by the way, so check that out too. It's
the YouTubes and the Tic Tacs.
YouTubes and the
Yeah,
Tic
we
Tacs.
got-
Sean Kellerman as well as Henry Greenstein. Easton John joined the show for a little bit. Heard from DK McDonald. So we did have a show yesterday, but we didn't do mailbag yesterday because we had our big open house. Shout out to everybody who came out. Shout out to Miles Schneer and company from Crown Automotive. Already a sponsor of us. Really appreciate that. He had some lovely wine as well. Shout out to
Zenith
Schneer
Winery.
Family. Yeah,
Zenith
Zenith Winery.
Winery,
Schneer
yeah.
Family Wines. Check them out, man. They got great stuff. But yeah, shout out to everybody who came out. It was a lot of fun. Also, Cody has another question. He said, "What state has the dumbest shape?"
Missouri.
Missouri, sure.
It's
One
always
came
Missouri.
right away.
It's always Missouri.
Michigan, right? It's got to be Michigan.
The thumb?
Yeah, but then it has the weird thing. And I saw a tweet a few years ago that said, the fact that Wisconsin hasn't taken that other part of Michigan tells me all I need to know about those cowards.
right. Yeah.
Like that's an insane thing that they just have a part of Michigan hanging on. Not even a part of the mitten. Who even lives? Is that a livable area? I'm assuming. I don't even know.
It is.
People live there.
People live in the thumb. Yeah.
Is Ypsilanti there?
Yeah.
No, that's
I
Eastern
don't know.
Michigan.
I don't know.
That would be Eastern Michigan.
Maybe
so
Easton or Elijah could look up the most famous or biggest
Michigan,
most populated city
Michigan's
in the
got the
thumb
dumbest state
of Michigan.
shape. I will say Oklahoma. Don't love the panhandle.
Colorado is a terrible shape.
It's just a square.
Awful.
But I
awful.
agree though. It's done. Like have your state have a little bit of personality. I know. I'm with you.
And that being said, Idaho I don't like.
Maryland's a weird one. I'm not crazy about Maryland.
What about Rhode Island?
Isn't that just
also a square?
It's like that big.
A tiny square.
It's got to be Michigan or Oklahoma. I'm not crazy about Maryland. West Virginia's a weird one too.
Yeah.
It kind of looks like a frog.
Great question there, Cody.
Great question. Good. That's a fantastic question. Colin says, is Travis Kelce washed and does he retire this year?
No and yes. We do think this will be the final year for Travis Kelce. Is he washed? No. I'm saying
he's on
he's
pace
not.
for 800 yards, right?
Is that what it is?
Around that,
800?
yeah, he's
and
on
that's what
pace
he
right
had
now.
last year?
Yeah.
which
and that was the worst year of his.
Okay, so
Which
but we're
when you
back
say-
in that situation where you've got to have some other options. Yes,
Right.
he's
Oh,
he's a
100%.
step slow. Everybody can see that. We understand it, but you have to have other options. We dealt with this all last year when we didn't have Rice.
Right. Well, when you talk about washed, right? I mean, talk about like Michael Jordan with the Wizards. He still averaged 25 points a game.
Which is crazy. People don't realize that.
I know.
They
It's
just the
insane.
Wizards
So,
were
yeah,
so
he's
bad.
comparatively to what he was. Travis Kelce, to me, I know this might be a hot take, but we understand we have a lot of Chiefs fans out here. Travis Kelce, to me, is the greatest tight end of all time. You can tell me all about Rob Gronkowski and Tony Gonzalez and Mike Ditka. I don't care. Okay. Travis Kelce is the greatest tight end of all time. So if an 800-yard season is washed for Travis Kelce, I'll take it. I'll gladly take it. It's fine. Sure. You can say that he's washed comparatively to where he was. Comparatively to other tight ends, absolutely not. He's still a top 5 tight end in the league right now.
You still have Hollywood. He had 10 catches in the game against the Chargers. You got that, but you got to have more options, especially at this point in his career. You need to have the deep threat in Xavier Worthy, plus you got the possession guy in Rashee Rice, who's a legitimate wide receiver one.
Yes.
We're going to see that. He was trending that direction before the injury happened, and now he's out for the first 6 games this year, but I think no matter what, Kelce has always thrived, as pretty much everybody does, when he's not the lone option. But particularly these past couple of years where the Chiefs have been dealing with some adversity in their wide receiver spot, he has been the number one guy. As old as he is and as many years as he's played, and yeah, he's a step slow, the defenses still look at the Chiefs offensively as Mahomes and Kelce. Right? Kelce is still the guy.
100%.
So, yeah, we're going to get these other guys back, and he's going to have bigger years. So, I don't think that he's washed. I would be surprised, though, if he plays another year after this one.
I have a question for you. If Travis Kelce, if the Kansas City Chiefs go to the Super Bowl and lose, does Travis Kelce still retire?
I think no matter what.
Or do you think he has another? He's like, hey, I need, because we saw that with Jason Kelce, right? Jason Kelce lost the Super Bowl, retired that same year.
Right. Well, there was speculation this past year that Kelce was going to be done.
Yeah, but he really wanted to, Jason Kelce wanted to come back and try to win another Super Bowl, and he just wasn't able to get, and he finally got to a Super Bowl against his brother and wound up losing. He's like, all right, now I'm officially done. Does Travis Kelce have that in him, or is he like, hey, we just lost the Super Bowl again, I want to come back and try to win another one?
I think that would be a lot. I think it was a situation where he's like, all right, I'm coming back for one more ride.
What situation do you think Travis Kelce comes back for next year? Do you think it's missed the playoffs entirely?
Man,
if they miss playoffs entirely,
if they miss the playoffs entirely, that would be up there. And I almost want to say if we win the Super Bowl again, maybe he'd come back for another.
Maybe I could see him being like, hey, I want to go out on top.
Yeah, I
See
mean,
you guys later.
and that's obviously the more likely scenario and what most people do. But
for sure.
Anyway,
we'll finish on a KU question. Berg, he wants to know, where can KU win and lose this game on Saturday?
David Booth, Kansas Memorial Stadium. It's
They'll win it there.
Fan Brew Way. I'm just saying that's where the game's being played.
Right.
So
that's where
they will either win or lose. That'll be the location of the game. No, I think KU can win this up front. The offensive line, if they're able to get a push to get the run game significantly better than they were against Mizzou, and certainly into at least a second level, third level. Maybe we see those guys break one off. That's going to work wonders for KU offensively, because then JD is going to be able to do his thing, and the Hawks are going to be able to score more than West Virginia. West Virginia, and I say this trying to protect myself, they don't scare me that much offensively.
Not at all.
They do move fast. I don't think Nico Marchiol is a top 12 quarterback in the Big 12. So I think Jayhawks need to go out and establish dominance. Well,
I mean, his team might say otherwise.
we've got Cole Ballard and
That's
and
true.
Zeke Marshall.
That's true.
No, but yeah, they've got some pieces, and Haney talked about him a little bit earlier in the show. Ty Edwards, we know he kind of sprung into the starting role after the Jaheim White injury, and he ran for 140 and 3 touchdowns. So good on him on that front. But they don't quite have the firepower. I think if KU does what they want to do offensively, I expect a better performance defensively as well. So I feel good about this.
I think with high tempo teams like this, because I played college football, and we actually ran a tempo style offense. It was the fastest. That was what we kind of prided ourselves on. And the reason that you do that is you try to get the defense on their heels, and that's when you can break those big plays. And once you break those big plays, then momentum goes into your favor. So if we see a couple of those big plays break, but with West Virginia, it's not time to panic, but that's exactly what they're looking for. They're looking to try to get the defense confused, try to get them sped up, try to make them make mistakes. So if the defense is able to understand assignment football, now how do you do that? Do you go man coverage? Do you go zone coverage? I think it's important to probably go man just so you know exactly what your assignment is and to, hey, cover this guy every single freaking time instead of, wait, hold on, are we in palms? Are we in cover 2? Are we in whatever we are? Oh, wait, now all of a sudden, guys behind you, they're breaking a long one. So you have to play assignment football on the defensive end of things. You cannot make mistakes. On the offensive side of the ball, Kansas has to get the run game going. I mean, we saw it in the Missouri game. No run game whatsoever.
And play fundamentally sound football. You got to catch the ball.
Fundamentally
right?
sound football is the yes. Also that
obviously
too.
We're always going to say this. It's so important in football where you only get so many possessions. The turnover battle as well. But catch the ball, and I expect JD to go out and perform at his peak. And like I said, that'll help if KU is able to get some sort of push up front and springboard those two tailbacks who need something good to happen after the last game, for sure. KU West Virginia Saturday at 5. Hey, after this, we're going to hear from a couple Jayhawks in advance of that game. It's a Trey Lathan revenge game.
That's right.
We'll hear from him, and we're also going to hear from KU offensive lineman Kobe Baynes. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. Well, we love a good revenge game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we had an Aaron Rodgers revenge game week 1 in the
That's
first NFL window of the season.
Well, yeah, but it's also a Justin Fields revenge game. Come on.
And then
also, Le'Veon Bell revenge game.
That's true. Also, we had a Kirk Cousins revenge game, Falcons Vikings, which your lovely girlfriend was in attendance for.
She was.
To
she
see
was there.
one touchdown, and it was scored by Tyler Algier.
Yeah.
What
not great.
Interesting game to attend at US Bank Stadium.
Yeah, but I love revenge games, man. They're so fun.
They are fun. Do we have anybody who's any Chiefs players, Chiefs Giants, any revenge factors on that front?
I know. So the Philly Chiefs game, the big story of that one was obviously Joshua Uche revenge game.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Not Andy
Obviously,
Reid.
that's the way everybody
not
was tuned
Andy
in.
Reid
So
revenge
I want to
game,
see Joshua Uche's revenge game.
That's got to bug Reid that they've beat us 3 straight times. I mean, it's not
bugs
a big
me.
deal.
I'm sure it bugs him
well,
too.
yeah. I mean, he's won 3 Super Bowls here, but still, yeah, that's annoying. I'm glad that it bugs you though. Hey, let's hear from Trey Lathan, who is going to be participating in one of those revenge games as he takes on his former team, the Mountaineers, Saturday at 5. Here's Trey earlier this week.
Well, obviously, this week, West Virginia. I mean, that's got to mean something to you. Talk about that.
Kind of really didn't hit me again. I guess it'll hit me game day. But, they're just another team on our schedule that we got to get by. So.
Do you know many guys that are there? There's been a lot of turnover.
Yeah. I probably know about like 15 guys are still there, still on the roster.
We know you talked to Trotter before Missouri. Have you talked to any of those guys about this game?
Yeah, I talked to one of their starting safety there. He called me after the game. He told me he was coming, so getting ready for that.
Which starting safety?
Kencora Tarnu. Yeah.
Trey, when you watch them, obviously they're running a new offense. What do you see from West Virginia on offense? They
move fast. They try to get the ball snapped under 15 seconds. So we're preparing for that. We're getting ready. They got some good players. So.
How do you emulate that in practice?
Just running 2-huddle and stuff like that. Just our scout team doing a really good job of just lining up, getting back to the ball, just putting a lot of emphasis on just moving fast. So.
We talked to Coach DK and you talked about your growth since you got here and your voice.
Yeah.
When you reflect on who you were when you stepped foot in January versus now, where do you think you've really taken the biggest steps forward?
I guess just gaining confidence in myself, learning a different scheme and just going out there and executing it. You go out there and use your voice. That projects confidence. So definitely using my voice and standing here, getting extra work, stuff like that.
Has it been hard? I know you played some middle linebacker at West Virginia, but has it been hard to find your voice here?
Not really. The guys were really welcoming when I got here. There's no egos here. Everybody's the same person here, so it's been fairly easy.
Trey, what do you see from their running back that put up a lot of yards last week?
He runs the ball hard. He's a bigger back. You know, they got a couple guys that they rotate, but we expect two to be their main guy in short yardage, and he just runs hard. So.
Was Nico on the roster at West Virginia?
Yeah, he was.
So what'd you see from him in practice last year behind the scenes?
He's a competitor. Nico's a guy who waited his turn. He's getting his turn now, but he competes. You know, he stays level-headed, even getting benched and stuff like that. He stays level-headed. So.
What's it like preparing for a team that uses several quarterbacks?
You know, just you never know. But that's how I go every week to get through the next guy. So, you know, whoever they're gonna put out there, our goal is to run them into the turf. So.
And then DK talked about you guys don't have a lefty exactly to emulate having a left-hand. What's that like?
It's just knowing their tendencies, you know, and that's kind of hard, you know, like Coach DK said, not having a left-handed quarterback, being able to do some of the things they do. But it's just something that we're watching and we're preparing for.
You guys were out there so much against Missouri. Did you start to feel that after a while? I can imagine you had 13 tackles yourself. It's a lot of plays out there.
I mean, yeah, towards the end of the game, we started to feel it a lot. But we're doing a good job in practice of just running tempo because at the end of the day, they ran like 90 plays against Pittsburgh. So we're preparing for that again.
And what do you guys have to do better on 3rd and 4th down?
Just staying disciplined. We jumped off sides a lot on 3rd down, gave them free yards, free plays, and so just staying disciplined.
Bengali said you love wrestling guys in the locker room. Does that help your tackle game, 13? He says you're an overly aggressive guy.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, those guys, they be trying me a little bit, so I got to show them who the big brother is. So.
Do you have siblings?
I do. I got 4 sisters and 1 brother. Yeah.
So brother older or younger?
Yeah, he's older than me. Yeah, he used to be getting after me a lot, but as I started getting older and bigger than him, I got the best on him. Yeah.
What was it like during the bye week seeing the young guys get more action?
It was good because it was needed. They haven't had a lot of live action a little bit, and like Coach Lipo told us today in our team meeting room, like with our linebacker situation, on Thursday Bengali got hurt, and then on Saturday John got ejected, and then it was Logan's turn. So just like that, those guys getting those reps, they're very important.
Thanks, Trey.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That's KU linebacker Trey Lathan. Now let's flip over to the offensive side of the ball, and we're going to hear from one of the offensive linemen who's been here quite some time, right guard Kobe Baynes. Here's Kobe earlier this week. Kobe, how's the bye week gone so far?
It's been pretty good so far. You know, we took a chance this week to just get back to fundamentals, working on the basics. You know, a lot of things was emphasized, so we've just been working on that.
Are you glad to have it this early? You guys obviously have 3, but good for the body to get it.
Yeah, it was kind of like, we look at it kind of like quarters. Like we play our first 3 games, then we have our next 4 games to our next bye week. So just kind of putting the season in kind of a quarter-based type of thing. So it was good to look at those last 3 games and what we can work on.
How close are you guys in the run game? Because a lot of times it's like one missed block or, one missed cut or whatever, and play would be out the gate.
Yeah, like we're really close. I think, like you said, like we're just little things, right? And so coach has been emphasizing that, straining, playing through and just continue doing our job. And so we're not going to shy away from that.
Kobe, what against Missouri, they really shut down the run game. What were they doing?
Credit to them. They're really good front up there, and they play really hard. And we just have to do better, with our blocking assignments and getting our feet across the line. And I think that they had a really good game plan for our rushing attack. So just things we could fix that going into this week.
What have you seen from West Virginia on film?
Really good defense, multiple defense. Their defense coordinator is really good, and they play really hard. So it's going to be a really good matchup.
Coming off the bye, you guys looking forward to getting back home and starting Big 12 play?
Yes, sir. Like, I think the coach emphasized right when we came in, like, everything that happened, clean the slate. Like, this is conference play now. And so just having that mentality, like, this is conference play, and everything matters, right? We're playing for keeps. So, yes, sir.
What have you seen out of Deuce and LeSean this week?
Just really good backs. I think both of them they bring their own signature to their style of running, and I think that as offensive linemen, like you kind of get hyped when a guy breaks the run and he trucks through a guy. So I think they have that both mentality of just not going down, and so it's really good to see them.
And how about some of the younger guys that gotten to get some action?
Yeah, some of the running backs.
Week? Just in general up front.
Oh yeah, younger guys like Trey Harper has been doing great. Carter Lavusky, Kanea, like a lot of our young guys that really took this bye week and kind of soared through it. So it's really cool to kind of see them come in their own.
And how about you and Bryce? Just kind of the leadership mentality moving forward with some of the younger guys.
Yeah, like just whatever they have, whatever questions they have, me and Bryce are here to just, we're here to supply them, So just kind of taking that big brother role on, taking them under our wing, like Kanea and Trey Harper, kind of, I've been with those guys every day. So just seeing their growth and how they play the game, man, it's like you can see why you start getting the coaching, right? Because it's really cool.
Have you seen like Enrique and Tavake sort of come along over the last few weeks?
Yes. Yeah, Tavake is really growing. I mean, from when I first met him to now, like totally different player, plays hard. Like he's doing everything that you need to do. And Enrique is always to the ball. Like his mentality of just trying to get to the ball and trying to finish. I mean, like that's what you want to have, right? Especially in the foxhole, having my tackle play like that. That's something that I really love.
Inside the meeting doors, what are you guys talking about? Things that you need to improve on heading into Big 12
Just
play?
the basics, right? Like just getting our second step in the ground, hands underneath it, like hands under, like getting physical, getting feet across the line, having our eyes, hands, and feet. Like that's something that we kind of reiterate a lot on the offensive line, eyes, hands, and feet. So just playing that, knowing our game, and just take it back to basics last week.
That's KU right guard Kobe Baynes, who has had an interesting, I guess, different element to his season in terms of he's had a rotating guy next to him at the right tackle position. Of course, last year you had Logan Brown there pretty consistently. And the year prior, Bryce Cabledew was over there. Of course, Kobe's been here. You were a tight end when you played, and I imagine had a few reps at the guard or tackle position. What sort of challenge is that actually when you're dealing with different guys? Like, is there any sort of challenge that the casual viewer wouldn't know or wouldn't think about from kind of consistency, chemistry on the offensive line?
Consistency is the right word, I think, right? I mean, you want to have your guy because playing offensive line, it's more than just going up and
hitting
somebody, right? It's you need to have A, communication, and B, you need to know how the other guy moves, right? You need to understand that, hey, this guy, he likes to take a wide step in, so I need to, move my right leg so he doesn't step on me, that kind of thing, or just in terms of the style of the way that they like to communicate. If you need to do double teams, who's gonna latch off, who's gonna work up to the second layer of defense. So there is a level to that. It all kind of depends on how Coach Derek Palsa does coach them, and I think we've seen a relatively good just transition from Enrique Cruz to finally, he's not listed as an or anymore, right? We have Enrique Cruz, who's now officially the starting guy at the right tackle position. Does that mean Nolan Gorsuch is not going to play at all? No, it doesn't mean they can still do some rotation. And with a guy like Kobe Baynes, who has played by a number of different right tackles, like you said, with Bryce Cabledew, with Logan Brown last year. I mean, at that point, you go, okay, well, he's had different guys beside him. It's easy to kind of adjust, but also in the flow of a game, it could be a little difficult as well.
Yeah, expecting a big game from particularly those veterans up front, Kobe Baynes and Bryce Foster, to get the running backs into the second level, because as we talked about last segment, that's going to be huge for JD and the rest of KU's offense Saturday against West Virginia. After this, some Thursday night football game picks and a word or two on Kansas basketball. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Daniel Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Kellerman and Dan Courtwright back here, ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. Going to get into some Thursday night football game picks, but we were talking to Haney a little bit earlier. Boot camp has closed out today. Have you had a chance to look at the photo yet?
I got it pulled up right here.
You got it pulled up on it. You already set it as your screensaver.
Yeah.
How about that?
Of course.
Tell us about the guys and their performances at boot camp. I guess we don't really know their performances, but obviously they got to feel good to have that in the rearview mirror.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, yeah, anytime you go through something like that, you're just like, oh, God, I think I just done. You know what I mean? It's horrible. But the beautiful thing about it is that it kind of weeds people out, right? It kind of gives you an an idea in terms of like, the coaching staff of like, okay, well, who really wants to work harder? Who is struggling right now in terms of, keeping in shape? Who's the guy who kind of wants to, push himself to that next level? And I think once you figure that out early, that's why I like boot camp, right? You get it done early because you A, get it out of the way, but B, also it's something of like, oh, hey, we get to figure out early, like, hey, what these guys need to work on, who's in the best shape, who's in the worst shape, what do these guys really need to focus on kind of in this off season. So it kind of gives them an idea before any kind of real basketball talk starts to happen. So obviously I'm a big fan of boot camp. It's always fun to see, like you said, the picture afterwards of the guys shirtless and like Haney said, we'll post one of ours. You gotta pay a special fee for it, but
right.
if you want to see it on kansasnation.com. But yeah, man, shout out to the guys. And it's
Marco's looking ripped, man.
Marco looks good. Flory looks good.
Yep.
It's less than a month away.
Yeah,
less
absolutely.
than a month away.
Late night. For sure. They released that last week. We knew when the day was going to be, as it is going to be October 17th, a Friday as usual. But as Haney alluded to a little bit earlier, they always do such a great job with the creative aspects of it. And that's going to continue to be the case as that rolls around here mid-October. So more basketball coverage, of course, on Rock Chalk Sports. I want to shout out Miles Schneider and Crown Automotive for their partnership. And like Dan said a little earlier, it was great seeing Miles last night at our open house event. All right, Thursday night football tonight, Daniel.
Yeah, Rice versus Charlotte.
Yeah, Rice Charlotte, 6:30. Who do you like?
I know. Hey, I'll tell you. I like the under. I like the under in this game.
Rice versus Charlotte.
I have a reason that I like the under in this game. I also like Charlotte to win the game. Charlotte's they're at +2.5 right now. I like Charlotte at +2.5. I also like a money line at +114. The reason being is because they have former Oklahoma State defensive coordinator Brian Nardo on their squad.
Yes, and coached you at Emporia State.
Coached me at Emporia State. The smartest guy that I've ever met.
Yep,
he absolutely got screwed out of that Oklahoma State job because of the fact that Gundy made him change the 3-3-5 essentially. So I was upset about that. Gundy forced him to change it, and all of a sudden the defense sucked. And he's like, well, yeah, because you made me change it from what actually did work, and they're never going to fire Mike Gundy, so they fired Brian Nardo. Now Nardo's over there at Charlotte. So I like Charlotte, and I like the under in this game. Shout out to Brian Nardo.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's talk about the NFL Thursday night football.
The other Thursday night football game.
Bills and Dolphins. A huge line, actually. This is tying the biggest line that we've seen in the NFL this season, and the Dolphins ain't favored. The Bills are -12.5 in Western New York. Over-under is 49.5. Do you anticipate the Dolphins packing any sort of punch in this one?
So that's the thing. I hate doing this with these lines because NFL games, the lines are always so big, and I think the Dolphins are a dreadful team, and I think the Bills are a very good team. 12.5 is just way too big of a line. I don't want to take the Bills on that 12.5 just because it's so big, but I think I'm going to have to, right? And look, I mean, it's split pretty evenly right now in terms of the public. It's at -110 for both the +12.5 and the -12.5. I think I'm going to go Buffalo here. I think they win this by 2 touchdowns. I don't think Miami packs any kind of punch whatsoever. Well, yeah, because it's in Western New York too. It's not even in Miami. Now it's not going to be cold there because it's September, whatever. But I think when you're in Buffalo, it's an AFC East rivalry game. I just don't see any way that the Bills don't win this game by 2 touchdowns. Josh Allen looks fantastic. I think Khalil Shakir is really coming into his own. James Cook has been incredible for them. I just like him at 12.5, which is so crazy me to say because I always complain about these big lines.
49.5 is the over-under. I want the over on that front. I think both teams are going to score. Yeah, that's tough, right? Because you see 12.5, and generally, NFL terms, that is too many points. And I think I ultimately am going to take Dolphins +10.5, and this just because, or +12.5 rather, just because everybody's so good in the NFL. And granted, I understand they lost by 25 to the Colts in Week 1 or whatever, and they are a train wreck so far. But I just feel like it's going to be a closer game, especially Thursday night football. Weird stuff happens. I'm more confident in the over for sure, but I'll take the 12.5.
So do you think that players only meeting did anything for the? No, you don't think so?
Absolutely not.
But it's enough to at least have them cover.
They can cover. They can cover the spread. That being said, we'll be talking tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, and it'll be, we'll be talking about a 38-0 game or something. But let's get into some player props too that we like for Thursday Night Football on Amazon. The first one that jumps out to me for a value play: Tyreek Hill to score a touchdown at plus 180. I like that value there. The touchdown scoring lines for some of the Bills players, you're gonna have to eat
minus
eat
170
for James Cook. This is all
minus
on
155 for Josh Allen. I like Keon Coleman in this game to score. I think he's really coming into his own.
Yeah.
Former KU legend, as we know. Former KU basketball legend, Keon Coleman as well. I think but like I said, I think he's coming into his own. He's at plus 170 right now to score an anytime touchdown. I think this isn't an official game pick. I just want to reiterate, because I never do this with any kind of prop bets, weird ones. I think he'll be the first scorer. So I think that's a plus 950. I might throw a couple cents on it.
A couple cents. That would be
couple
quite
pennies.
risky for you. Devon Achane, 100+ rushing and receiving yards total. I like that as well. Ooh. That's a minus 122. Yeah, James Cook's been crazy because I saw this stat before the season. 3 years ago, he had 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
2 years ago, he had 6 touchdowns. And last year, he had 18 touchdowns. So before this season, if the trend were to continue, he was going to score 72 touchdowns this year. And you know what? He just may do it.
He'll do it
because he has been going absolutely crazy for sure. Hey, tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports, we're going to be out at Hy-Vee, Clinton and Castle. Can people swing by and say hey, or are we saying no, please don't?
I'm glad you asked that. Yes, they can swing by and say hey. Swing by Clinton and Castle, Hy-Vee here in Lawrence. We're going to be out there giving away some stuff. Going to have some guests out there, do our sports stock market. Really excited. Shout out to Keegan and John and Jen and all those people out at Hy-Vee for hosting us once again. Our weekly, bi-weekly-ish remotes at a Hy-Vee. So swing by, come say hi.
Yeah, well, tomorrow's show obviously going to be football focused. We're going to hear from Tate Nagy, and we're going to do a deep dive on West Virginia. We've kind of stayed on the outskirts of that, talking about this individual, that phase of the game, whatever it is. Deep dive on the Mountaineers tomorrow on Rock Chalk Sports. And like Dan said, we are going to have a special guest, and plus we're going to have our sports stock market and some Chiefs coverage as well. So make sure, if you can't come out and say hey to us at Hy-Vee, that you are tuning in Rock Chalk Sports.
Also,
YouTube.
come out and get a $7 grab-and-go pizza.
KansasNation.com. Hey, thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.